story. I'm a rising senior at Mission Prep with a passion for all things social justice. And for my project, I created a mini zine. A zine is like a kind of DIY, self-published magazine that can be really about anything. And so mine is titled Notes of an Angry Activist. And it's photos, some of my favorite writings, and some artwork that center around activism at its core. And I chose the medium of a zine because I hope to go into journalism and publications, and I feel like there is a lot of power in the media, especially when it comes to activism, and truth is power and representation is power, and so it's important that those are a part of the media that we're consuming. I am going to read an excerpt from an essay I chose. It's by Ellen Hopkins, and it's called An Accidental Activist. So yeah, the good news is America has reawakened. Those of us determined to lobby for health of our republic and its democratic principles have mobilized and embraced the principle of using our collective voice. In huge numbers, we are calling and emailing and tweeting our representatives in government, demanding to be heard. We are overflowing town hall meetings, picking up signs and marching in the streets, reminding this country that democracy must not become a commodity sold to the highest bidder. Those in power aren't invincible or greater than the will of we the people. We are joining together in protest, and that defines patriotism, because we're fighting for the principles that have always made America great. This gives me hope for the future.
Pull it up though. Okay. Within my two paintings there are two figures. One with blue skin adorned with hues of gold and red, and one with gold skin that casts a blue shade. These two figures are meant to represent the cooperation between fear, the blue, and hope, the gold. No matter how much fear has lived inside you in the past, you have the power to focus on your hope and refuse to let it define you. And even those with great amounts of hope and pride face fear, even if it's not seen at face value. No one can live without fear, as they would become reckless, and no one can live without hope lest they allow fear to consume them. The duality is ever present, and the efforts of humanity ever vigilant. We cannot live in fear, but we can live with it. This is a digital piece of art that she did, and then did the border by hand. She was telling me that the woman represents Mother Earth. We got the earth tones in the hair, and that it's kind of smeared with tar, representing the oil spills in the ocean and on our land. We've got teary eyes as the ice caps melt, and smoke exhaling from her lungs, the pollution, and she was calling it decorated pollution. Decorated pollution, this idea that if we treat our bodies the same way that we're treating the earth, we would be maybe more inclined to change quickly as opposed to slowly. So this is from Blake.
My project, what I wanted to do was convince someone from the House of Representatives that climate change is real. So I wrote him a letter like this. His name is Doug LaMalfa. Dear Congressman LaMalfa, my name is Mason Shipcott, and I'm a 15-year-old from Morro Bay, California. I will try to keep this brief because I know how valuable your time is with all the things you do for both our state and our country. I recently learned that you do not believe in climate change. This surprised me because I liked a lot of your other policies, so I wasn't expecting to disagree with you on that. I thought over this for a while and decided to talk to you about this subject because I feel that it is extremely important. I'm not a scientist, so I think that it would be best if I showed you some of the articles that convinced me that climate change was real. This article shows that the glaciers and ice caps are actually melting by showing declassified spy footage of the Himalayas from the 70s and 80s. And I linked an article. Another thing that helped convince me was that burning fossil fuels causes carbon dioxide to be released into the atmosphere, which then prevents heat from leaving the atmosphere. A great example of this is the planet Venus, which is hotter than Mercury, even though it is further from the sun. This is because its atmosphere is full of greenhouse gases that prevent heat from escaping, and thus takes in way more heat than it can get rid of. Some people might say that all of this would happen anyway, and it doesn't matter how much fossil fuel we burn. However, this is untrue, because even if this is something that is going to happen no matter what, we should still try and slow it down as much as possible to make the world a better place for our kids and grandkids. If you still don't agree after this, please write back and explain why. Sincerely, Mason Shipcott.
Hear me from back there? My name is Hamza Muhammad Ali. I just graduated from SLO High, heading to Cal Poly next year. So excited about that. For my project, I wrote a poem. It's kind of a political poem about being a Muslim in America. I called it Muslim American. So I'll just go with it right now. I wake up, brush my teeth and get changed. Loving my country instilled in my veins. America is where I was born and raised, calling this home goes without saying. Go to school, play sports and do work, but deep down in my heart I hurt. My country that I love is so very curt. Radical Islamic terrorism, Islamic State. Blares on the news with so much hate. Islam means peace, all them lies is fake. To ISIS, calling yourself a Muslim and causing the world so much pain. And saying La ilaha illallah, you're a disgrace. Taking innocent lives just because they don't got the same ideological race. Back to what I'm saying, the media portrays all these extremists who have the same name. To a Muslim it brings out hurt and shame. To an ignorant it builds animosity and hate. Ignorance is rampant, ignorance is lethal. When a citizen ridicules me for my own faith. When the President of the United States calls for a Muslim ban for those who wear a scarf on their face. When a boy comes to school with a clock and a case. Scientific genius, scientific man. Showing his teacher his invention was his only plan. But ignorance fills the minds of many, and Ahmed was branded, because Ahmed was a brown Muslim, to be candid. Crazy to think it's the middle of 2019, and all this prejudices against me is still riding up my spleen. When my fellow American can be so racist and mean, every time, randomly selected, despite being clean. This injustice and evil infringes on my rights. Being a Muslim American is a real plight. I love them, I love my country, and I want them to love me too. I hope I enlightened your mind, the words stay with you.
Create a resource board. It has a whole bunch of our politicians' information, all of the ones representing California especially. It has our governor, our 2 senators, and then our district representative. And all their information and their addresses to their offices, in case anything we mentioned in this video is something you might want to get involved with and start talking to some politicians about. I also listed a couple nonprofits. I couldn't find as many as I wanted, unfortunately. And then I have a whole bunch of the Peace Academy's information, the people who put on this whole event in the first place, in case you want to learn more about them yourself. We have their 3 pillars, which is self-awareness, global citizenship, and then social justice and environmental awareness. Yeah, so I just put the basic information on there. And then the last one is the other resources, in case you guys actually want to let us know of different events or organizations in the community. I left some index cards and then some push pins. There you go.
So my name is Hannah. So last week I arrived to the Peace Academy, and honestly, I just got over with junior year and I felt overwhelmed with the world and everything that's going on, with such injustice happening in our environment and socially, and what we could do to fix that. And I learned through this program how to feel empowered, that even though I'm 16, I can still do things. I can help the world and make a difference. And so this painting is my pledge to start helping the earth. I'm very into environmental sciences and wildlife conservation. And in this painting, it's a little messy, but I did that on purpose. It wasn't just me being lazy. It's to feel there's no borders on this earth, and there's no borders in humankind. And we're all family looking around this room because we're all here on this earth together. And these are my feet print, yes, to represent our carbon emissions that we have onto the ecosystem with overfishing, deforestation, desertation, and overpopulation. And it just, a lot of things are happening onto the world right now. And so, but my philosophy that is pain, I'm sorry. That even though we have like such negative things, we can put a helping hand and place our green print onto the earth and make a difference.
Kennedy, and today I'm talking about women's rights. So many of you may think that women are already considered equal under the law. However, that is not true. The Equal Rights Amendment, which was introduced almost 100 years ago, has still not been passed. This amendment simply states that equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. And by ratifying this amendment, it would be guaranteed that the rights stated in the Constitution apply to all U.S. citizens regardless of sex. Currently, we only need one more state to ratify this amendment in order to have the ERA become a part of our Constitution. We are really behind on this compared to the rest of the world. Nearly all of the other constitutions from other countries include an amendment that you cannot discriminate on the basis of sex. So we are very behind and we need to get on that. And worldwide, women still face very harsh discrimination. Many women are practically considered property. For example, in 16 countries, a woman can only legally leave the house with her husband's permission. There's also 32 countries in which a woman needs her husband's consent to apply for a passport. This can trap women in situations where they can't escape their husbands who may be violent, and it also deprives her of her freedoms. This brings me to the fact that only 3/4 of the world's countries have outlawed domestic violence. In some countries, it is actually illegal to abuse your partner. In addition, as of 2012, 1 in 2 of all women killed were killed by their family members or their partners. Furthermore, women are raped and sexually assaulted globally. Slavery is still a huge problem today in the form of sex trafficking, and 800,000 people are trafficked across international borders every single year. Half of them are minors and 80% are women. Around 15 million girls aged 15 to 19 have suffered from being raped. Here in the US, 4 out of every 5 women have experienced sexual harassment and or assault in their lives. 650 million women and girls today were married off as children, and it's heartbreaking. Additionally, women are not proportionally represented in Parliament. They only hold 22% of all seats in Parliament around the world, even though women make up more than half of the world's population. Women need to be represented. Things need to change. We need to raise awareness for the injustices happening around the world and to protect and give rights to women. We should not be belittling women and girls, even jokingly, because it tears us down. We can start this by getting the ERA passed and guaranteeing equality for women in the US. It's 2019. Giving rights to women is long overdue. Woo!
I did a little presentation on the refugee crisis. Oh yeah, I'm Mustafa. I go to AJ High. I'm gonna be a junior next year. Okay. In general, the refugee crisis refers to the large amount of movement of people traveling to a specific area, and these people are most of the time are looking for a better place to live for themselves and their families. The main countries that this is happening in is Syria and Afghanistan and most of the Middle East actually, and they're moving into Europe usually. And millions risk their lives just to escape their war-torn countries, and it's like just a bad place to live. So some important dates to keep in mind: the Syrian civil war started in 2011, which caused them to start trying to seek refuge in 2012 because their environment was being threatened by war, and their army was just being really violent towards them. And other countries began to step in to help in 2013. And in 2015, Europe began to feel pressure from the refugees. Okay, and life in the refugee camps it's not good at all. The food given out to the families is based on how big the family is. And so the camps are infested usually with rats and mice, and the water is contaminated. And tuberculosis is usually the main disease that's going around. And the Greek refugee camps have reported a lot of cases of sexual assault and rape. And the refugee camps usually are located either outside of Syria or in the eastern side of Europe. And some numbers here: 25 million refugees. There are 25 million refugees in the world currently, and 68.5 displaced people. 3.1 asylum seekers, and 1.3 of them are in Europe. One person becomes displaced every 2 seconds, and 30 people a minute. 1 in every 110 people globally is displaced or a refugee. So there are 3 possible solutions for this. One of them could be resettlement, which is refugees who are unable to return home have the option of settling in the country that they're seeking refuge in. Integration, which is within the host country, refugees can work to help improve the community, and or they could just return the refugees back home and hope for the best. I guess that's not the best option, but yeah. So going back to history, the European Union was created in 1983 to help maintain stability throughout Europe. And after the attacks of 9/11, the global war on terror began, which caused many to flee their countries in the Middle East usually. These countries include most of the Middle East, including Afghanistan and Iraq, and some of Syria. The European Union attempted to disperse these refugees and asylum seekers across all of the European states. The EU has taken over 6 million asylum seekers and refugees since its creation in the 90s. They also try to increase their budget to help these refugees. And there was a video that I was going to show, but I guess not. So in conclusion, these refugees try to seek asylum or seek protection from their own country because it's not safe, or for any other reason they just leave, and they're dispersed throughout most of Europe, some of the Middle East, the safe parts of the Middle East, and they just try to live a better life in the country.
About climate change, and we're gonna need you all to pull out your phones and go onto YouTube and search Peter L. Team Leadership Summit 2019.
My name is Ethan. My name is Ethan, and I'm created a nonprofit, or I want to create a nonprofit, and through you guys I can, and I hope you guys will be able to hear me and hopefully connect to it. I worked hard on it, I have a lot of plans for it, and I hope it works. So what is United Health? That's the name of the nonprofit. United Health is a nonprofit organization, and it's here to solve one goal: fix our planet. When it comes to refugees, war, the environment, people without education, starving people. That's what United Health is here for. It's here to solve these problems. Regardless of race, religion, sexuality, gender, ethnicity, nothing matters. It's here for you and you alone. How did United Health start? At the beginning of my senior year, I met a girl named Dasha. She was the first friend I made in 8 years that I really went to and made friends with. And she became a very important piece of my life. Well, sometime in November, I was going through social media and I saw something about Russia shooting at Ukraine. I disregarded it because it was on some unreliable source. Turned out to be reliable, but at the time it was unreliable. Later on, she posted something about the same exact thing from the same exact source. And I immediately, like that, just went up and said, "Hey, is everything all right in your country?" She said no. She gave me a whole list of all the problems in Ukraine and what was going on there. She had me watch a movie called Winter on Fire, which was about what the recent revolution Ukraine had and what was going on over there and how Russia is involved. As soon as I heard that, I immediately started to go to action. I looked at different nonprofits. I didn't like any of them, and I thought instead of trying to go and use someone else's, I'd create my own path. I'd forge my own, and that's where I'm at right now. I have a video.
Cities in different states to support our nation.
So that was Dasha. So in Ukraine, they're not simply just fighting to protect their land. They're fighting for their whole entire culture. Ukraine itself, the very being of it, the language, the culture, society, every bit of it. And if they lose this war, Ukraine as a whole dies. It's gone and it becomes Russia. I was trying to find my Brazilian friend to talk about the Amazon forest of the deforestation. I went to many, they're all very busy. But what's going on in the Amazon is it's being chopped down for agriculture, such as farming and ranching. But this has a very negative impact on the environment. The Amazon River is a carbon sink, meaning it takes a lot of the carbon dioxide in the air and it stores it in the plants. It stores 10 to 15% of all the carbon in the globe right there, and we're chopping it down. This forest, without it, will change the world dramatically, and already has been, simply just chopping these trees down in this massive forest. There are people living in the Amazon forest as well, and we are chopping down their homes. Recently, and I'm really happy to hear about this, some tribes in the Amazon actually went to court against, I don't remember who it was, I think it was a oil company, and they were going to try and take away their home. They went through the legal system and they saved about 120 million acres of the Amazon forest, which is incredible. They saved so much land and their home. Next, we have Norway. This is my friend Ari, and he's going to talk about what democratic socialism really is. A lot of people hear the word socialism, and they automatically think like communism, but it's far from it. And Norway is actually one of the happiest countries on earth.
Alright, so I've been asked by my friend Ethan to talk a bit about...
I chose these three videos because the first one, Dasha, is the reason why this even started. But then as time went on, when I heard things about the Amazon, that's when I realized I didn't just want to help Ukraine, I wanted to help the planet, and I could. And then socialism came up, democratic socialism. And then I realized this is how I want my ideal world to be, if it could be communist. Is everyone's happy, everyone's getting the same basic rights, nobody's discriminated. Everyone in Norway has health care, college, security over their lives. And I believe that's really the best way to fix our planet. Sorry. Let's see here. So, what will United Health do? United Health wants to do environmental work. It wants to help with agriculture. It wants to help with education and more. Medical. Getting homeless off the streets. I believe that's actually one of the biggest things we can do, because homeless people leave a lot of trash. Get them off the streets, you have less trash. There's a lot of things we can do, and there's a lot of things that United Health wants to do for the people and for its community, its world. So how United Health will do this? United Health is going to be a non-profit. It will work with other countries across the globe. They will have to want this organization in their country. And I hope that being non-profit I can still give to the people and they can still give back to the community. What I mean by this is good people will work for free. That's just how it is. Good people will work for free, but people with malice will not. So my goal is that you paid people just enough so wherever country they're stationed at will be able to live there with the minimum, not exact minimum, enough to where they can enjoy themselves, but not to the point where it's taken over their good intentions of helping the people there. I believe that would be the best way. Give enough to where they can live there and stay there, but not enough to where they'll stay there for bad intentions and try and like what some doctors do where they prescribe you medicine that's not actually going to help. So United Health needs you. There's a lot to do already. The basic plan is set, but it has not been built, and I need you guys to help me create this. This is a dream and something I believe will work. Every small thing becomes big with enough time and effort. Microsoft, Apple, Amazon was created in a garage, and now it's the biggest corporations on earth. I mean, Apple is $1 trillion company that started in a garage, and I hope that United Health can become one of the biggest things to help others across the globe. Since United Health is not built, you can still help by going to these sites. United Help Ukraine to help Ukraine with their problems here, with the corruption and the wars that they're having. And then, let's see what this other one is. Go to heartoftheamazon.com. You'll actually, I don't know if you'll get plane tickets or not, but you will fly to the Amazon and stand with the tribes that are trying to protect their home. You'll stand with them, they'll help you with the land, and you help them with their land. It's a win-win, I think. You get to see a lot and you get to experience a new culture while also helping the Amazon from dying slowly. That's all I have. Thank you.
My name is Sophia Mohammed Ali, and today I'll be talking about oppression in today's world. There are multiple different types of oppression, and there are multiple different types of oppression everywhere. The banks, that's just one of the many like hundreds of different types of oppression in the world. No matter what you sell or what you buy, someone out there is going to lose some money. It's just one huge oppression system. So I'm going to be explaining like a couple, only a few of like the major like different types of oppression in the world. Want to go to the next slide? Sexism is one of the is huge. Every day across the globe, women, men, and gender-neutral people are discriminated. An example is 4 in 10 women are discriminated in the workplace. Qualified women may be passed over a promotion because they're pregnant. This is called pregnancy discrimination. And jobs alone are offered to men more often just because they're male. And women are not the only people who get discriminated. Men also get discriminated too. Lori's is like this restaurant, and they only accept, but that doesn't mean black people aren't still discriminated today. For some reason, people think it's okay to treat someone who's for the way they were born. Okay. Ageism. Okay. Ever since I was little, I've always had my own opinion. Of course, my opinion back then was a little sillier. I thought Sour Patch Kids was better than gummy bears, but it was still my opinion. Some teenagers have more knowledge and better reasons for things than middle-aged adults because they do their homework, they research, and they know what they're talking about. But they aren't listened to because they're still growing up and they still have a lot to learn. But so does everyone else. No one ever stops learning. Personally, I find it mind-blowing that people are actually discriminated for their age. And
and elders are actually have more experience in like life than young adults. Yet for some reason, people would rather choose a young person with less experience. Religion. So personally, I am a Muslim, and people it's always been a thing for people to just jump at other people's religions and like discriminate against them. It's just like unfair. Why would someone like criticize you for your beliefs? We all have our different beliefs in in the world, and just that's how we are. The solution. For all this, there's solutions. You don't dwell on the problems. Instead, you look for the solutions. For all of these, it's like education. From a young age, we educate people in for racism. We teach them from a young age to be mindful of other people's backgrounds or cultures. Don't tell them that about bad things for one culture. If you're gonna say something bad, say it about everything, but just try to stay positive. And for sexism, it's don't just teach the girls to do one thing and the boys to do something else. Keep it balanced. Teach them those same things, and just don't be so focus on one thing for one person. Everyone deserves the same thing. Oh, okay, that's it.